Hi guys, and welcome to another Divi Theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, we've got one for you today. We've got a little panorama here. It's going to sort of scroll to one side or the other of this image of the city up here. It's going to take 60 seconds. Once it gets to one side, it's going to scroll back the other way, giving you a sort of automatic panorama type effect. Really easy to do. We've got to do a little bit of coding for this today, but don't let that put you off. Any coding that I do, I'll put down below the video, and you're welcome to copy and paste it, use it how you wish. So let's get started. I'm going to enable the visual builder so we can build on the front end. Once enabled, I'm going to delete what we've got here, and we'll start again from scratch. In fact, I'm going to add a new section. I'm going to make mine a regular section. Inside, I'm going to put a single row. Not going to put anything in there just yet. Let's get rid of this section that's on top. Now, because I've done some adjustments here, you can't get to the tab. If you ever have that problem, hit the little purple button. We'll go to back-end mode. And there's our original section. I'm simply going to delete it, and we can go back to our desktop mode. Great. So I've got a new section there. Inside, I've got a single column. Inside that column, I'm going to go ahead and put an image module. Divi comes as standard with all these light grey modules, plenty enough to build just about any site. Blue modules are from an awesome plugin called Divi Supreme, but we're not using that one today. So we're going to use an image module for this. Let's choose the image we want. Obviously, it's going to be panoramic, so a beach would be nice. I'm going to use that same city one that I used before. Okay, and there it is. I don't want it to link to anything because we're going to have a little blurb module on top, or any module you want. You don't have to use a blurb module. This will work with any module on top. Don't want it to open in a lightbox, and I don't want a link. Don't need any background there. Great. I'm going to leave it just like that. Now I'm going to go into my row. If you see the green line at the top there, you can see that's our little column image is sitting in. There's a bit of a gap top and bottom, so I'm going to go in there. Green tab for the row. I'm going to take any padding away top and bottom. To do that, I'm going to go into spacing, and I'm simply going to put a 0 in the top. Just put the 0 in, it'll put the pixels in for you. Hit the chain, it'll take away the padding for the bottom. Now I've done that, I'm also going to go into the section and do exactly the same thing, because I don't want any padding top or bottom. I want this image to be buffered up against the top there. So I'm going to go into the actual section itself and do exactly the same thing. Design tab, down to spacing, simply going to put a 0 in and hit the chain. There we go, now our image is buffered up at the top there and the bottom there. Great. Okay, well, let's save this. Now I really want this image to be full width, and I only want to see a section of it so that we can zoom back and forth again. So to do that, let's go and make our row full width. Again, I'm going to click on the image. I'm going to go into the green tab for the row. To make the row full width, go over to design, sizing. And also, while we're here, I'm going to use a custom gutter width. I'm going to take any gutters away. Gutters are the space at the top, bottom, left and right. I want 0, so I'm going to put my custom gutter width down to 1. That'll take them away for us. Great. Reason I'm doing that is I'm going to create another row in a minute, and we're going to zoom it up on top of this one. Okay, to make this a full width image, I'm going to slide the width all the way up to 100%. I'm going to copy that, Control C. I'm going to paste it in the max width below there, Control V to paste. And we've got a full width image. You can just type that in instead of copying and pasting if you want to. Great, so we've got our full width image there, but it's way too high. It's way too tall. I really only want to see a small band kind of in the middle of the buildings there. So still on our design tab, in our row here, roll down a little bit more, and we've got height. I'm going to make mine say 400 pixels. Again, put in the 400, it'll put in the pixels for you. And you might have noticed there's absolutely no difference there. So what we want to do is go over to our advanced because we've actually made the row 400 pixels tall, but the image is spilling out. I want to hide it. So to do that, we need to go over to the advanced, to visibility, and here's horizontal and vertical overflow. I'm going to switch both of them to hidden. And because we're on the back end, you may not see the changes. If I click on that image, you can see we've just got 400. On the back end, it's occasionally going to spill out over again, but on the front end, you won't see any spill outside of that 400 pixel height that we've given it there. Great. So that's our little row taken care of. I want to adjust that image. I want to pull it up. There, as you can see, we're on the back end now, and it's spilled out over as I'm putting my mouse on there. That's fine. It won't happen on the front end. But I want to pull this up so we can see more of the buildings. And B, I want to make it about half as big again, so we've got some room to scoot it left and right for our sort of panoramic effect. So let's do that. I'm going to go into the module itself. Dark tab for the module right there. I want to scoot it up by about 150 pixels, and I want it to be a bit bigger too. So let's go over to the design tab. I'm going to scoot it up by using some negative margin. Don't want any space below the image. I'm going to turn that off. Here's the margin. I'm going to simply flip it down till I got a negative, or you can type that in. And I'm going to go maybe negative 150. There we go. That's pulled that up a bit. But I also want this image to be a lot bigger, maybe half as big again. So still on our design tab, what we can do is go down to transform down here. The first one is transform scale. I'm going to take mine up to maybe 150%. And again, just put in the 150, it'll put in the percent for you. You've got the little chain highlighted there, so it's going to do both sides at once. That's more like it. So our image now is spilling way off of our screen here, and it's about the size we want. Let's save that. Actually, before we save it, we're going to need to target this in a minute with some CSS to make it move. To do that, we need to give it a CSS class or ID. I'm going to use a class for this today. And let's give it the class of maybe pan im for panoramic image. You can call yours what you want. It wants to be unique. And it's a good idea if it means something to you. That's my kind of shorthand for panoramic image. So if you see it in the code, you're going to know what it is. Great. So let's save this now. And we've got our little image there. Those buildings are looking good. And remember, we've got sort of 25% each side of more buildings, so we can scoot it left and right to create that panoramic effect. But of course, if you want that on its own, that's fine. But we really want to have something on top of it, like a call to action or a blurb. You can use anything you want. And to do that, I'm simply going to add a new row. Little green button to add a new row. I'm going to use this single column again. Inside this one, I'm going to use a blur module. Like I say, you can use any module you want. You can use a call to action, or you can use more than one module if you want to. I'm simply going to use a blurb for mine. Put in whatever title you want there, obviously. You've got a text field down below, put any text. You can align it, justify it, add headings if you want to, bold, italicize, make bullet lists, add media if you want to. I'm going to leave mine just as it is there. I'm actually, if I roll down a bit, you can see what's going on. There's the actual blurb module itself. I'm going to have an icon rather than an image. Flip the little switch to on. Divi's just teamed up with Font Awesome 4, so there's an awful lot of icons. I know what I'm looking for. I'm going to get an eye, so I'm just going to do a search here. There it is. Pop in whatever you want there. There it is. It's also got a little pop-out button here that if you click on the button, it's going to pop out into a larger search box and make it easier to search through if you don't know what you're looking for. That's a nice little feature right there. Okay, well, my text, I'm going to go over to my design tab now. Well, actually, while we're here, in the content, you can link this if you want to, and as it's going to be on top, that's not a bad idea. You can link the title separately, or you can link the whole module down below. And always best practice when you're linking. If you're linking to your own site, leave it in the same window. If you're linking off-site, open it in a new tab. That way your site will stay open. I want to make sure there's no background on here, which I'm pretty sure there won't be. Great. So I'm going to pop over to my design tab now. There's the image and icon. I'm going to turn it white. I'm going to leave it exactly the same color as it is now. It'll disappear onto our white background there, but that's fine. And I'm going to do exactly the same for our text. I'm going to turn it white, put it in the middle. I'm going to make that heading text a little bit bigger. Now you can either go down to the heading text and body text, or you can hit the little blue paintbrush right beside it, and it'll take you straight to the right place to edit it. It's an H4. I'm going to make mine bold perhaps. I'm going to capitalize it. I'm going to pop it in the middle. Put it a lot bigger. And I'm going to make it white, and it will disappear onto that white background. Okay, great. And our body text is kind of, I want it a little bit more spread out than that. And I'm going to make it white. But let's spread it out first so we can see what's going on. And to do that, I'm actually going to go shut up the title text. I'm going to go into sizing. Here's the content width. Default's 550 pixels. I'm going to say 70%, and it'll give 70% of the actual container that it's in. That'll work for me. So I'm going to go 70 and the percent sign. That works fine. And now here's the body text. I just want to align it in the middle. There it is. And I'm going to turn it white. It's going to disappear. Great. Well, let's just save that. Now we're going to do a bit of magic here. I'm going to take that whole row, I'm going to scoot it up on top of our image right there. I know that's 400 because I gave it the height of 400. I apologize about the flickering going on there. It's just a back end thing when you're in the builder. The overflow occasionally shows. Okay, let's go into our bottom row here, green tab. And I'm going to scoot it up by probably not 400. I'll make it too high, maybe 350. Let's try that. So we're in our row, going to go to design, spacing. Again, I'm going to use negative margin. You can either just type it in or scoot it down to -1. And I'm just going to put, say, let's put 350 in there. You should see it appear on top of our, there we go, on top of our image right there. Fantastic. And that writing is getting slightly lost in our background image there because it's busy. So I'm going to put a little sort of colored background behind this so it makes that writing stand out a little bit more. So let's save our row right here. We'll go back into the module, and like I say, because we've adjusted things with negative margin, you might have trouble getting to your modules. If that's the case, let's go back to wireframe mode, and here we are. There's the blurb module, there's the image. I want to go into the blurb module. Now we're in now and go back to desktop mode. On the content tab, I'm going to go down to background. Let's chuck a black in there and you'll see exactly how big that thing is. That's great, that's okay. I want a bit more on the bottom and perhaps a little bit more on the top. So let's go to our design tab, down to spacing, and just add a little padding top and bottom. Let's say perhaps 30 pixels. And hit the chain. That's fine. I think I want to pull it up just a little bit more there, the actual row, but that works. And that black is way too deep for me. I want it to, the writing to stand out, but I still want to see some of the image behind. So let's go to our content, back to the background. I'm going to click on the actual dark field here. The variegated slider here is opacity or transparency. We can just slide this down till we can read enough of our text, but still see a nice bit of image behind there, and just adjust that how you want to. Yeah, that works for me. Got a little gap at the bottom, so I need to just scoot this up a bit to get rid of that gap there. And that's our actual row that we scooted up there. So let's save this and we'll go back into the row. There it is. Design. And we scooted it up with some negative margin in the spacing. So let's scoot it up perhaps by another 20. Let's make that 370. There we go. And that works perfectly. Great. Well, let's save our changes here. Save the changes or publish the page if you're ready. And we can do a bit of coding. To do the coding, we need to go to our theme customizer to get to the theme customizer, go to your dashboard. Once in your dashboard, you need to go down to appearance and customize. And that's taken us to this page here. I've actually temporarily set this page as our home page so we can see it here. You don't need to do that. The only reason I've done that is so you can see what's going on when I start coding in a minute. And to do our coding, I need to go down to the additional CSS field. Here's the actual code that I wrote. Let's get rid of that. And we'll start from scratch. And I'll move that image to blurb code out of the way so we don't get confused. Fantastic. Always a great idea to give your CSS code a title when you're writing code. And to give it a title, it's / */ Anything that you write in between the stars won't be read as code, so it's a great place for titles and notes. So I'm going to say pan image. That way, if anybody else edits your site, it's a courtesy too. It'll make it a lot easier for them to find the code. Okay, well, we gave our background image there, or the image that we're seeing in the background there, a CSS class. All CSS classes have a dot or a period in front, so there's that one. And we gave it the class of pan image, I believe, pan im. So we need to put the class name there. Then we can open and close some curly brackets and decide what we actually want to do with it. Well, I want to animate it, so I'm going to say animation. After the animation, I need to put a colon. And we need to create an animation, and we can call it pan im. I can't use exactly the same, but I can come pretty close. So I'm going to say pan image. That'll do. It's close and it means something to me. That's great. And I'm going to have mine take a long time. This is entirely up to you how quickly or slow you want it. I'm going to take about a minute. So I'm going to say 60 seconds. I want it to keep rolling and rolling. That'll do for the minute. I'm actually going to add one more line in a minute, and I'll show you what that is when I need to add it. Okay, so we told it that we want it to animate using an animation called pan image, which we're going to create in a second. It's going to take 60 seconds to roll through that animation, and it's going to keep going and going. So let's create that animation. We're going to be using keyframes to do this today, so I'm going to say @keyframes, and the actual name, which is pan image there. I'll just copy that and paste it in. Great. Open and close some curly brackets, and what we can start doing is start to add some keyframes, and the keyframes that we add need to be in between our opening and closing curly brackets. So if I go in between, let's start at 0% when the page loads, and obviously that will be second one of our 60 seconds. We'll open and close some more curly brackets, and we're going to be dealing with margin to scoot this left and right. So I'm going to say margin 0. I want it to start off right in the middle right there. So I'm going to say margin and just put in a 0 semicolon. That's great. That's where it's going to start right there. So I'm going to copy that, and let's go up to maybe 25%. I'm going to change that to 25. And here I'm going to say we want to mark, I want it to start scooting left and then go right. So I'm going to say margin left. And don't forget, this code is going to be down below if you just want to copy and paste it. I'm going to say margin left. I'm going to go negative maybe 25%. Negative 25%. Let's get rid of that 0 on the end. And you can see it's actually started moving, but it's actually kind of shrinking as well, because what's going on there is the margin left is moving by negative 25, but the margin right isn't, so it's changing the size. So to fix that, let's just copy that. I'm going to go down and say margin right positive 25%. So I'll just get rid of that negative right there. That way it'll move, but not move there very much. So now we've got that. I'm going to copy this one again, because in the middle at 50%, I want it to be back to normal. As you can see, it started rotating already, or panning, I should say. So I'm going to copy this one. I'm going to drop it down below. And at 50%, I want it to be in the middle. So margin 0 again. Then I'm going to do a 75%, and I'm going to do flip these two round, the left and right. 75. And so I can just say plus 25 for the left and minus 25 for the right on this one, or you can change the left and right, doesn't matter. And let's finish off at 100%. I'm going to have margin 0, so it's going to be back to the middle where it starts. Change that 50 to 100. Okay, that's kind of working. But it's kind of flickering a little bit and sort of stopping and starting once it gets to one side. I want it to be a bit smoother than that. So to smooth it out, here's where I'm going to add another little line up here. I'm going to just say linear because I want it to work in a linear fashion and be sort of a bit smoother. There we go, that's more like it. That seems to work nicely. Now if you want to slow it down some more, just add some more seconds to it. If you want to speed it up, make it shorter, obviously. I'm going to leave mine on about 60, but that's entirely up to you. So we should be pretty good to go. Let's make sure we exited our builder on the page we were working on. Yep, we're fine there. Here's our actual page. Let's make sure we publish the code here. Go back to our page and refresh, and we should have our little panoramic animation going on there. And there we go, there's our little panoramic effect now we've refreshed the page, and that's a great little eye-catching feature to have on your site. And don't forget, you can use any module you want. I've just used a blurb here, we've got no link, but you could have a call to action with a button, or you can have multiple modules and make your actual section as big or as small as you need it. But like I say, that's pretty eye-catching, is going to get people's attention. Pretty easy to do, and don't forget that code's there for you to copy and paste if you need it. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie with System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.